3 disturbing movies that are based on a true story. This first one is one of the biggest plot twists I've ever seen. It's called Orphan, and it's about a married couple who meet a girl named Esther at an orphanage. Soon they find out the family Esther used to live with all mysteriously passed away in a fire. Assuming this was just an accident, they adopt Esther, only to find out she's not who she says she is. This is based on the true story of Barbara Skrylova. Also, Orphan 2 is coming out in January, so go watch the first one now. Next up, we have The Sacrament. This is about a man named Patrick who finds out his sister is now living in a religious community, so him and his co-workers decide to make a documentary about it. But once they arrive, they realize his sister actually joined a cult, and it's based on the true story of Jonestown. Last on the list, we have Veronica. This is about a girl who uses a Ouija board to summon the spirit of her father. But of course, things go terribly wrong, and now something strange is happening to Veronica. This movie is based on the true story of a girl named Estefania from Spain. Follow for more recommendations. This is considered one of the most shocking cases in Polish history. On January 6, 1999, a sailor in Poland noticed something strange floating on the river. It was long and pale and it smelled very bad. And as he leaned in closer to get a better look, he saw an ear attached to it. Now, what I'm about to say next is very disturbing, so be warned. After the sailor found this substance, DNA testing then indicated it was the skin of a missing woman named Katarzyna Zawada. And whoever did this to her turned her skin into a suit and was likely wearing it. So at this point, only her skin was found. Until January 14th, when pieces of her clothing and one leg was found also in the river. 17 years later, 52-year-old Robert J. was arrested for this. He previously worked in a dissection lab, meaning he was skilled in preparing animal skin. And he allegedly also knew the victim. As of October 2022, 23 years since the victim was found, Robert J. is still awaiting trial. As he remains in custody, investigators are allegedly gathering more evidence to solve the case. Follow for more.
Story time. A few years ago, I was a recent Manhattan transplant. I relocated for work and my office was in the One World Trade Center. On my first day, I ran into a man nervously pacing near the elevators, speaking on the phone, and he kept repeating himself. "It's okay, love. This building's sturdy. It's never coming down." It was strange, but I assumed he had a worrying partner due to previous events. Day after day, ran into the same man on the phone near the elevator, always with the same mantra. Eventually, I recognized that he was dressed the same. I mean, again, strange, but it was a white collared shirt. Maybe he owns like 30. And then I realized his cell phone was a fossil. Finally, about a month at my new job, I was invited to a company gathering. At this gathering, the president made a small speech about the former VP who perished on 9/11, and he had a photo. The moment I saw it, I pretty much lost my shit. It was the very man I'd been running into every single day. I, of course, told no one.
If you see someone behaving like that, run, even if it's your own mother. Her mom had been acting very strange over the past few days, so she ultimately decided to film her. What she captured is truly terrifying. Look at her eyes. Unfortunately, the end of the story is even more terrifying. After capturing the video, she encouraged her mother to go to bed. However, after about 30 minutes, she began to hear odd noises and found that her mother was no longer in her room. So she decided to search for her in the woods nearby the house. I will show you now what she discovered. You can see her mother, or rather, what she had transformed into, but her mother didn't seem to recognize her anymore.
We need to talk about this photo. This was sent to me by one of my followers, Laura, and when I read this true story about what happened to her, my jaw was on the floor. I've never read a story that actually happened to someone that was this terrifying. So let's get into the story. This photo was taken when I was 1. I had a nanny back in Indonesia and she acted very strange. Everyone felt uneasy around her and felt chills whenever she was around. Her eyes were cold and she was awkward, but at first we didn't think much of it. She was only around for a couple weeks because the next thing that happened blew my mind. One day my mom mom came home and found our door unlocked, the lights off, and the sound of someone's voice chanting. And on top of that, I was screaming and crying. So my mom got our neighbor and together they barged in the door, only to find me latched onto my nanny and no one could pull me off. They had to perform some kind of exorcism in order to get my arms off of her. And then she started mumbling under her breath saying, "This is impossible, usually they be by now." Later, we found out there was a group of people in a satanic cult that went around nearby towns pretending to be nannies so they can perform sacrifices to the devil and pretend it's an accident. In return, they were promised fame and money. And based on the words this lady mumbled after the ritual, it's clear that this isn't the first time she's performed this sacrifice. I only found this out months ago, but every time I see this photo, I feel chills down my spine. Oh my god. Thank you so much, Laura, for letting me share this story, and I'm so glad you're okay now. If you have a scary, strange, or just plain crazy story that happened to you or someone you know, send it to me because I would love to read your story. And follow for more.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. I found this bone, and it looks like a hip bone of a human, and it looks like it's been cut off. You can leave. And that looks like the bit that you put a leg into. And I'm about to have a f***ing heart attack. This is where I am. I'm in the middle of the woods. I'm on this bit that isn't even really a track at all. There's like trees covering it. It could be an animal's, but I don't know. So I'm gonna call the police, I think. I'm literally waiting for the police to arrive, and I have 7% battery, and my car's not working. After an hour, the police arrived, and I then walked him through the woods. It's a 15-minute walk to get to where I was, with the moonlight, and that was it. I did it all a bit quicker earlier, and I think it's because I was scared. It was just slightly to the side. I didn't really move it.
Lovely.
So despite me sending photos, they needed to come and take more with a tape measure to figure out what it was, because they knew it wasn't deer.
Are you coming back? No? Or are you sitting here?
I'm here.
You're going to stay here?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's all golden. Thank you very much.
Oh, and I'll leave you. Okay. Wow, okay. Is this better than drunk people, or?
I don't know, it's a little bit sketchy.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
The police officer had to wait on the scene and tape it up in case, and I had to make the journey through the woods back to my car all alone, which was kind of scary. So I haven't posted an update till now because I didn't want to post until I knew what it was. I didn't want to post a human remain on TikTok, you know? The police never got back to me, so I don't think it was human. And I posted on Reddit and somebody said pig, which makes sense because like pigs and humans get confused all the time. So let's hope it's that, and let's hope I never go walking in the woods again.
Okay, my sister and her boyfriend told me a really scary story last night, and it's actually a true story, and it freaked me out so bad, and I couldn't wait to tell you guys, so just listen. So after they told me, I did some digging on YouTube, and I found a channel that had the story on it, and it was basically telling it from the guy's perspective that wrote it. And yeah, I'll just read it kind of like the same way that I heard it. And I will link the channel that I found it from below. Okay, I'm just gonna get right into it. I don't care if anyone judges me, but I like to go to the movie theaters alone. My work schedule is all over the place, and I often don't work weeknights. So on a stormy Wednesday night, a night that not many other people would be thinking of driving to the movie theaters, I did just that. I always like avoiding crowds in anything that I do, that's just how I am. It was 2017 and I went to see some low-key movie that probably wasn't at the top of anyone's must-see movie list. I was the only one in the theater, just like I expected. I sat in the center seat of one of the higher-up rows and I put my feet on the seats ahead of me. About 20 minutes into the movie, I noticed someone a few aisles down. I didn't notice them coming in. It was dark in the theater because the scene in the movie at the time was in a dark room. They weren't sitting in the seat like a normal person though. All I saw of them was the top half of their head peering over the seats in a direction that definitely wasn't towards the screen. It was still too dark to tell if they were looking directly at me or not. But when the movie changed to a brighter background, the whole scene got brighter. Bright enough to see that they were looking basically directly at me. But their face was pale and lifeless looking, and their hair looked messy and wiry. I couldn't even tell if it was a man or a woman. I'm an introvert or just a really awkward person, so I didn't really want to ask if anything was wrong. The screen got darker again, and the person behind the chair lowered down completely until I couldn't see them anymore. I couldn't concentrate on the movie now though because I was feeling very uncomfortable. Actually quite terrified. I didn't get up though, I stayed put in my seat. Many scenes in the movie pass, and I forgot about what happened. Almost. Just when I was getting back into the movie, the person's head appeared from behind the seat again. This time much closer, only like 3 rows of seats away from me. I actually let out a really loud yell because it made me jump, and now I could see more details and features in their face. They actually looked lifeless with their eyes motionless and hung open. But still, somehow I couldn't tell if they were looking directly at me or not. Now that I could see better, I noticed it was a man with really long, unkept hair. I noped the F out of my seat and ran down to the exit. I had to pass the row in which the person was in to get to the exit door. As I passed the row, I looked down it. And while I expected to see the rest of the person's body sitting hunched behind the seats, what I saw was something you would see out of a nightmare. There was a guy basically laying on the floor, holding up a severed head perched on a stick. I'm running out of time, so come back for part 2 to hear the rest.